Hello everyone. I've made a discovery I'd kind of like to share. There's a video I found on YouTube that claims God doesn't exist, and this is a contender for the silliest thing you've ever seen. The premise is that matter and energy are the only things that exist. Now, what's funny in this case is there's all kinds of things other than matter and energy which exist. And you can think of plenty: love, a magnetic field, information. You could just start naming them, but you don't have to. You don't have to. This video will provide you with tons of examples. Wait and see. It's just hilarious how irrational this whole thing is.
Existence is a relatively simple concept. It is defined as that which consists of either matter or energy.
But before we get to the funny part, there's one matter that needs to be addressed. It's a very old trick, trying to redefine terms in such a way that you claim God cannot exist. They've been doing that for a long time, and that's the trick going on here. They redefine the term God, they redefine miracles, they'll redefine any word, and that's just playing word games. It has nothing to do with reality. We see that once again here. It's just a misdefinition of the term exist or existence. We're going to look up both of them here at dictionary.com. Existence: the state or fact of existing, being. Next definition: continuance in being or life, life. Third definition: mode of existing. Fourth definition: all that exists. Fifth definition: something that exists, entity, being. God's compatible with all of that. All of that. There's no way you can claim that existence somehow makes God impossible just because we have the term. So we'll check down here. They have more definitions. The fact or state of existing, being. The continuance or maintenance of life, living, especially in adverse circumstances. Something that exists, a being or entity. Everything that exists, especially that is living. Well, that's God right there. Because existence is just a derivative of the term exist. We will visit the term exist. To have actual being, be. To have life or animation, live. To continue to be or live. To have being in a specified place or under certain conditions, be found, occur. To achieve the basic needs of existence as food and shelter. And they always list another reference. We'll take a look. There's also some synonyms here. The next set: to have being or reality, to be. To eke out a living, stay alive, survive. To be living, live. To be present under specified conditions or in a specified place. Then there's three of them from philosophy. To be actual rather than merely possible. To be a member of the domain of some theory, an element of some possible world. To have contingent being while free, responsible, and aware of one's situation. Well, there's a couple in there in philosophy that don't apply to God. Big surprise. Okay, we've got that formality out of the way. Everyone knows the real definitions of the term existence, as if you didn't already. Now, for the rest of the video, keep in mind the misdefinition that's going to be in play. Only matter and energy exist. Not even fields. Like a gravity field, a magnetic field, those don't count. Only matter and energy. Now you can close your eyes and see how many things you spot that don't exist, or you can watch the screen and I'll do what I can to point them all out.
Therefore, if a God exists, it must be composed of either matter or energy. The opposite must also be true. If a God is not composed of matter or energy, then that God, by definition, does not exist. Thus, to argue that a God exists, despite a total absence of matter or energy, is to argue existence equals non-existence, which is a complete contradiction. If a God exists, then physical evidence is really the only methodology by which we can ascertain that a God exists. Of course, this does not require direct physical evidence. We cannot perceive black holes directly, but we know that they exist due to the effects of their gravity wells on surrounding matter, as well as the flashes of energy that are released as captured matter crosses the event horizon. But since existence is defined as that which is composed of matter or energy, the proof of existence must be some evidence of that matter or energy. Evidence is defined as that which impacts our physical senses in some manner, either directly or through some translating device such as a spectrograph or an oscilloscope. Since our sensory organs are designed to perceive the effects of matter and energy, it is through the evidence of the senses that we can determine the existence or non-existence of things. If I argue that something exists, but then claim there is no way to detect it, my argument contradicts itself. Let's say I tell a deaf man that I hear a deep, loud sound coming from a speaker. If he lays his hand on it and feels no vibration, he has every right to be skeptical. If I say that this loud sound does not have vibrations, he may then pull out his trusty microphone or other sound wave detector. If this instrument detects no sound in the vicinity, can I still tell him that this sound is occurring? At some point, my definition of loud sound basically boils down to that which is the opposite of any evidence that a loud sound is occurring. Then clearly my approach to truth needs a little work. This approach helps clarify the truth value of the proposition that a God does not exist. If a God is not made up of matter or energy, then that God does not exist.
Oh boy, it's hard to keep up. You got a little tricky there with work. Work is energy over time. Time doesn't exist.
If a God is made up of matter and energy, then it is subject to physical laws. Since it is bound by physical laws, miracles are impossible, because miracles are, by definition, violations of physical laws. Likewise, a God cannot be all-knowing and all-powerful, since both attributes would violate the basic tenets of physical laws. All-knowing would require instantaneous knowledge of all matter past, present, and future, which is clearly impossible, while all-powerful would require the ability to break the bounds of physical laws, which brings us back to the realm of non-existence. If a God is subject to physical laws, then praying to a God makes about as much sense as worshipping a black hole.
You got me. I couldn't keep up. Did you see that? And I ain't even thinking about doing the repeats.
If a God is not subject to physical laws, then the concept of a God is synonymous with the concept of non-existence. Why is there such a resistance to the fact that a God does not exist? However, either a criterion for determining truth exists or it does not.
Either a criterion exists or it does not. Well, we know the answer to that one by now.
If such a criterion does exist, then it must be objective and based on the evidence of the senses and reason, which precludes the existence of any deities. If no such criterion exists, then both everything and nothing is true. If no such criterion exists, then both everything and nothing is true. If no such criterion exists, then both everything and nothing is true. And agnosticism, atheism, superstition, religion, and the belief of the flying spaghetti monster are all equally valid.
Don't get carried away. Spaghetti is made out of matter, so the atheist spaghetti god would be real.
If an objective criterion for truth exists, then it cannot logically be applied according to whim, or only in situations that feel emotionally comfortable. Through this logical method, we can determine no God exists. Through this logical method, we can determine no God exists. Through this logical method, we can determine no God exists. My argument contradicts itself. My argument contradicts itself. My argument contradicts itself. My argument contradicts itself. Clearly, my approach to truth needs a little work.